Two men arrested following a fight with police in the River Van stand. That's our top story in our Barbados Today evening news update for Thursday, May the 3rd. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Thanks for joining us. Two men are now in police custody following a dispute involving officers and a public service vehicle operator in the River Van stand this afternoon. Police Public Relations Officer Acting Inspector Rodney Innes said they responded to a call from officers for assistance in the terminal, and as a result, two men were arrested and are now in custody.
Police officers were on duty as a result of an altercation, a call for assistance. Assistance responded. As a result, two men were arrested, are in custody, and investigations are continuing.
Meanwhile, the Alliance Owners of Public Transport has responded swiftly to the incident, calling for a thorough investigation by police while it would conduct its own. Public Relations Officer Mark Haynes told Barbados Today the last thing the Alliance wanted was tension between the police and the PSV employees. Haynes said while they welcomed the presence of law enforcers in the van stand, they believe there's a better alternative to simply arresting PSV workers.
We are calling the ministry to institute a system of ticketing of offenses as opposed to like arresting the guys and taking them and then clogging up the system with other court cases and so on, so they can return to their regular duties and all of that. Now on Tuesday next I can report this thus far out of our meeting that a representative of the NUPW will be meeting in the bus terminal to discuss the safety of the commuters and the workers.
In other news now, the Barbados Water Authority is considering asking consumers to pay more for the commodity. General Manager Keith Roy Halliday told a wide-ranging press conference at the BWA's Pine headquarters this morning that while an increase in water rates was one of the revenue-earning measures being considered, it was up to the Fair Trading Commission to have the final say. Admitting that any request for a hike may not be immediate, he, however, noted that the last increase of 60% in 1999 was not adequate enough to cover the present and future financing and investment needs of the BWA, so it remains relevant.
A discussion has to be had at some point in time as to the relevance of the current tariff regime and whether or not it makes sense. This is not a discussion that can be made in isolation. This is a discussion that requires the input of a number of stakeholders. This is not a discussion that we can make solely on our own simply because we fall now under the oversight of Fair Trading Commission, and they alone will arbitrate and determine to the extent and how and what figure, if at all, we pursue is necessary. So I will say to you, Emmanuel, that it is not something we can discount. It would be silly of me to say that we will not look at it. But I can say in the immediate term, there's still a lot of work to do before we can make that presentation.
Halliday also disclosed that the BWA was currently faced with a $500 million loan bill, which is unable to service. He said the company was therefore securing grant funding from multilateral institutions to help settle part of that bill, which covers a number of capital projects. He said that apart from some assistance from government, the BWA has so far been able to have about 10% in grant funding approved.
Our financial model as is not sustainable, has not been sustainable for some time. The financial model as is does not work. And at some point in time over the next while, we have to look at it and take some hard decisions as to how we can move towards getting a model that is a little more relevant to our needs.
Meanwhile, the public has been advised to stay out of the sea at Worthing Christchurch from 6 p.m. to noon the following day. The caution by the Ministry of Health comes in response to the daily opening of the sluice gate at the Graham House Swamp by the Drainage Division. Red flags which indicate no swimming are in place along the beach, and bathers are asked to adhere to the flags and any other signs erected by the National Conservation Commission. Christchurch West candidate for the United Progressive Party, Dr. Maria Eargard, has pulled out of the general election race. Party leader Lynette Eastman told reporters this morning that Eastman has withdrawn to fulfill an overseas consultation, apparently for medical treatment. Eastman explained, though, that Eargard will remain a full member of the UPP and will speak on its political platforms up to the time of flying out.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
One night, one winner, Only one team can deliver balanced, comprehensive, unrivaled coverage. Barbados Today, Capital Media HD 99.3, and 6 Gear Studios. Don't miss election night on www.facebook.com/Barbados Today, on www.barbadostoday.bb, live on www.capitalmediahd.com, and on www.facebook.com/Capital Media HD.
Welcome back with news from the region now. Caribbean police commissioners say gang violence is the greatest threat to the region's security. Tackling organized crime is the focus of the 33rd General Meeting and Conference of the Association of Caribbean Police Commissioners in Montego Bay, St. James.
Gangs have been wreaking havoc in different communities across the island, but President of the Association of Caribbean Police Commissioners and Bermuda's Police Commissioner Michael De Silva says gang violence is not just a Jamaica problem.
The most significant issue facing law enforcement in our communities is the rise of criminal gangs. Across the Caribbean, gangs, gun violence, and drug trafficking all go together, and they represent a common and significant threat to many of our local communities. The Caribbean has a disproportionate number of homicides that outpaces much of the rest of the world, and we must reverse this trend before local gang violence transcends into violent extremism.
And on the international scene, Iran's foreign minister said today U.S. demands for a change in its 2015 nuclear agreement with world powers were unacceptable as a deadline set by President Donald Trump for Europeans to fix the deal loomed. The details in this Reuters report.
The United States will have to decide whether to finally abide by its obligations.
Iran's foreign minister on Thursday said America's demands for changes to a multinational nuclear agreement were unacceptable ahead of a looming deadline that could make or break the landmark deal.
Let me make it absolutely clear once and for all. We will neither outsource our security, nor will we renegotiate or add on to a deal we have already implemented in good faith.
U.S. President Donald Trump has warned that unless the parties to the accord fix what he calls terrible flaws in the deal by May 12th, he will refuse to extend sanctions relief on the Islamic Republic.
So we'll see what happens. I'm not telling you what I'm doing, but a lot of people think they know. And on or before the 12th, we'll make a decision.
And that's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We are also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Have a fantastic evening.